You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's RuPaul's Drag Race After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's RuPaul's Drag Race After Show.
Yes. Oh, are we serving face already, Cam? Okay, for serving face right at the top of the show. Welcome, everybody. Bing is for doing, and we are now doing another after show here at AfterBuzz TV for RuPaul's Drag Race Season 5. This episode is entitled Drama Queens. This is episode number 9. We are 9 episodes into this lovely season. And here to help me out, I have my lovely co-hosts and partners in crime,
Jacque Borowski,
Cameron Marston,
and as always and usual, I'm Tony Moore.
Until next week when he changes his name to something else.
I'm going to change it to like Satterley Poochie.
Satterley Poochie. Is that your drag queen name?
Well, you know, you're supposed to have like your childhood pet and street name and put it together.
You had some really creative.
Well, you know, we were a creative bunch. Sort of.
Hey, dog.
My first
Are you
pet
calling me a dog?
was
No, it's a dog.
was named after Black Beauty, the pony.
So it was called Black Beauty? All right, so what a fun episode this was. Another acting challenge.
Boo.
You don't like them?
I think they should have mixed these up. Like, I feel like they should have broken these challenges up a bit. Because it seems like it was just, like,
One after the other.
one acting thing after the other after the other.
Well, they had a dancing thing. Oh, that was a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah, but they should stick it in between the acting things.
I thought Wilmer was underutilized. Why even have him on the show?
Oy
Poor
vey.
Wilmer.
Poor
Yeah.
Coco going speechless. I would have done the same thing.
He was there for one line and one line only.
That's all they
I would have
needed
done
him
the
for.
same thing that Roxy did.
He needed less clothes and the same amount of lines.
Don't move. My hand needs a place to rest.
That was awesome.
All right, so right at the top of the show, of course, they always come in with the departure of the previous queen, Miss Ivy Winters. Ivy Winters. What?
And what happened after that? Who started crying
even remember that part.
again?
You know why? Because at this point, like no
Over
one
it.
really
Nobody
cares.
cared.
It's like they're gone, and it's like their last little bit to remind us of who left.
And how bad they might have been.
But at this point, we just don't.
I just feel, again, we all know that the group of us don't like this use of having the queen who left be there already. What happened to having the queen just hold up the prize from the last episode?
That was
I like
hilarious.
that. And you know,
And they
if
look
you
all
really
sad.
if you really like a queen that has left, you're just gonna like her regardless. And if you didn't like her, you're just gonna not like her regardless.
And
You
you're
don't
ready
need
to
to
move
remind
on.
her.
True. And that's what we're going to do. So, okay, so there was like a big discussion right at the top over pageant queens and comedy queens because there were some unresolved issues between Jinx brought up the whole thing of the comedy queens and pageant queens or whatever, but we'll get to that in a second. We have a guest caller calling in. Hello,
Hey,
caller.
y'all.
Hi, Ashley.
God is good.
All the time.
How are y'all?
We are good. We are joined by Miss Ashley Kelly from the A-List Dallas that was on Logo. Hi, Ashley.
Hey, you guys can hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You're breaking up a little, but it's okay. We can still hear
Might
you.
be a mistake.
Stand in one spot. If you got AT&T,
Okay,
that might be
hi.
a problem.
So, can we talk about something really quick?
Yes.
Okay, so Tony, what's your last name?
More.
It's something short.
It's just
What
more.
is it?
More.
Tony Moore?
Yeah.
Okay, and then Jack something ski, and then Cam something ski.
Cam's Polish
And
now.
who else is on? Who else is here?
Just us.
It's just
us three.
Ashley. It's just me, Cam, and Tony.
Ashley, how much did you need?
What? How much did I eat?
How many more of those do you want?
Oh, no, I was just watching, I was trying to catch up a little bit,
Oh.
and I saw somebody
Kenny.
like Nate or something, and so I was just wondering who I was talking to.
It's just us three in the studio today. So we heard that you are good Judy's with Miss Alyssa Edwards.
Yeah.
So what did you...
My hair and makeup artist is actually really, really good friends with Alyssa, so that's how I met her.
Oh, and what did you think about this week's episode when Alyssa went home?
I cried.
Aw.
I literally cried because it was so, like, Alyssa's heart is just, like, gold. You know what I mean? She's just so sweet and so pure, and so, like, I feel like it was just the saddest thing ever. And I've definitely grown even closer to her since Terry, like my hair and makeup artist and best friend, he's right here.
Hi.
Terry actually just did drag for the first time, like, what was that, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so Alyssa is his drag mother, which in, I
she
guess,
got
the
2
drag
kids.
world is like a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
She has 2 kids. She has Shangela and him.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. So it's like we cried. And Terry just like yelled at the TV and almost broke my TV.
Do you think that, because it seemed like in this episode, they were painting Alyssa to be, what's the right word?
A person who gives up.
Well, not gives up, but she was relying heavily
Defeated.
on just being a great performer and entertainer. It was more like she came in saying, like, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this, but if I have to lip sync for my life, like, I'll get by like that. Do you think the show was kind of painting her in that light, like maybe she's just relying on her performing ability to get her through this competition?
I think that she knows who she is really, really well. And I think that, I mean, editing, I wasn't there, but I know what editing can do.
Right.
And so that's definitely a factor, but I feel like, but Terry and I actually discussed that. You really can, like, lip sync your way to the top. Like, if you beat somebody every single time like that, then eventually you can get the crown that way. But I feel like she could be a little bit more confident in the other areas. Because she has it all, you know, and just like Ruth said, you know, she's got it. She just maybe doesn't know it in some areas.
Yeah.
She has some very passionate fans, and I know that by looking at message boards and even looking at our site. She has a lot of very passionate fans, and I think I was just sad because knowing someone like that who has a lot of really passionate fans, when you go before Ru and you say, okay, I'm having a hard time, this is not my thing, and it's like, as a fan, you start to feel like that person has let you down a little bit. I know. And I mean, I'm not trying to say that to be hurtful. I'm just trying to say that to be like, the whole purpose of this episode is to say that if you have, if you have these qualities, just have the confidence to back it up.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. I just think as a performer, an entertainer, no matter what challenge you're hit with, you never say, I'm not this, I'm not that, I can't do this. You challenge yourself to do it. You know what I mean? And I think that was kind of the issue. I think Alyssa has it. She definitely has a performer quality. I think she just doubted herself because it's something that she wasn't used to.
And the thing that was weird is that up until these past couple episodes, she was not a singer, and she went out there and she, faked the singing as best as she could do it, and she was very impressive doing that. And I just think it's strange that this happened now for a person who seems to really persevere.
I think her issue is that she's a very expressive person. She's in the arts, right? She's a dancer. Oh. I think that she lacks the ability to articulate herself verbally. I think that's her biggest issue, because I find her very resourceful. Obviously, she knows how to borrow costumes. and outfits. But there's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Obviously, she's a self-titled pageant queen. Nothing wrong with that. You have to be resourceful.
They all do it. They just don't say it.
I love you.
I love you too. She has a business. Obviously, she got there somehow or another. So I find her very resourceful. I just don't think she had the ability to articulate her thoughts verbally or to vocalize them well. And that's why she came off a little dizzy.
Ashley,
and mugging in the mirror all the time. Girl,
always
pull it back.
That was so funny, though.
Yes, it was very entertaining.
Those were fun.
She's an entertainer. I give it to her.
Ashley, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, okay, well, from the perspective of someone who's been on a show that's very competitive, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders making the team or not making the team in my case. But that show, I will tell you that the producers kind of get in your head and label you a little bit, and it can get in your head. Like, I remember one of the producers standing right in front of me saying, oh, it looks like you're getting cut tonight. You know, how does that make you feel? And then, they would tell other girls, like, oh, you know, your weight's really an issue. And every time you interview, which is like probably 6 or 7 times a day, they say the same thing over and over again, like your weight is an issue. Then you take that and you internalize it. So I'm not sure what production's telling them, but they definitely, it gets in your head. And especially when you're in a situation like that one, where you're there, don't they live in like a house all together, right?
No, I think they live in a hotel, but they have separate rooms. They're like sequestered.
But yeah, they're sequestered.
But they see each other. Yeah, they're sequestered and they have to see each other all the time.
Yeah.
Well, they film like so many hours a day, and it's like those producers. I promise you, they get in their heads, and so I feel like that process, just in general, is got to be hard. So I mean, but she is such a strong person. I mean, I do think it came off that way though a little bit. I really, I do, and I hate it.
Well, then you figure out how much they piled on the whole situation between her and Coco, which became tired, but I'm sure after a while that just eats away with you. Like, really, can we move forward?
And here's the other thing is, I find that argument that Coco makes against her about telling her, oh, you're just gonna lip sync your way out of this or whatever. Well, that's what Coco has.
Black.
Yeah, Coco has been winning. Coco is also the same type of performer, so she has been winning at these lip syncs, and then she'll rely on it in the same way that Alyssa does. Like
birds of a feather. Birds of a feather.
No,
it's just coloring it a different. It's just different hue of the same color.
But I feel like there's a difference between Coco and Alyssa. I think Coco goes into it, you know, with some confidence. Like, she may not do this or, you know, act or whatever on a regular basis, but she goes into it with like this thing like, okay, I'm going to try to do this. Where I think Alyssa kind of felt defeated when it was something out of her comfort zone. Like when it was an acting challenge, it was like, oh great, you know, another acting challenge. But when it was the dance challenge, she excelled in. Why? Because she's a dancer. That's her comfort zone. When it was anything out of her comfort zone, she did it well. She did it her way, but I felt like going into it, she wasn't as confident as she could have been because I think she doubted herself.
I don't know about that. I like the comedy challenge where she was laughing at her jokes.
Well,
she was really into it.
She
cracks me up. I would totally see her on if they did a reality show that she was, you know, something like a small cast where she was a member of. She would crack me up.
Yes.
Well, you think about it again. They were friends, birds of a feather. They're not that far off from each other. They both constantly have disclaimers like, "Oh, I can't really do this. That's not my thing." And then they throw shade towards the other person. You guys both make disclaimers all the time. I was over both of them.
We're supposed to hang out last night in Dallas together.
Right?
Oh, we're supposed to say that.
So
they're friends.
Yeah, they're still friends.
They're still
she
friends.
called in. They're still friends.
Coco called a few weeks ago and said that, you know, they're really good friends. In fact, she was on her way to like pick her up at the time that we were talking to her. So yeah, we know that, and I feel like we know that the show has kind of played into their whole pageant rivalry, discrepancy, fight thing or whatever, and tried to play it up as much as possible, but what they didn't realize is that we were going to get tired of it very quickly.
Well, maybe that's the blessing.
They do beat that horse dead on
just not the same thing.
We just want to see people perform drag.
But maybe that's the blessing in the show beating the dead horses. Now that they can move past it, there's nothing left to talk about anymore. There's no reason for you not to be friends and have that time and space between you any further.
So Ashley, if you were Alyssa's little voice in her head for as much as you know about her, what would you have kind of told her throughout the competition, or what advice would you have given her?
Go to church.
Amen.
That's no. I would say that like, I don't know, practice at everything that you think you're not good at. Like, just, like, own it like you do dancing, because you really are as fabulous as, you know, I don't know, like, you're fabulous, so be fabulous.
And that's kind of the downfall of winning a title, right? Is you start to get complacent. Like, you know, I won a title, even though I got stripped, but I won a title.
Mess.
I don't need to do anything further. So I see what you mean, though. You gotta keep it moving, keep practicing.
Exactly.
What did you think of the lip sync?
Well, I mean, when I say practice, I don't mean because she needs it in other areas. I'm just saying so she'll feel that she's as good as it. Because, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
just so you're confident in it. You know, if you
just
never
be confident, I guess.
you never driven a stick before,
You want to be
should
well-rounded.
probably practice driving a stick so you can feel confident in doing it.
Yeah, just act like you've been doing it your whole life, you know?
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Jackie wanted to know.
I wanted to know what you thought of the lip sync.
I will say that I rewinded the jump split
That was
over and over and over again.
That was amazing. That was one of the best lip syncs I think I've ever seen on Drag Race. And that jump split.
She did. Alyssa won that, don't you think? I mean, do you or no? Like, I think she won it.
It's hard to say.
Close.
They're both different styles.
Yeah.
I'll say that if you took it for performance quality and removed the lip syncing aspect of it, Alyssa would have won it hands down.
If you remove
but
the
if you
lip-syncing.
put the lip syncing back into it, Coco
You mean the
hands
only
down.
one part that Coco like went off on? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, the problem
that was
with
major, yeah.
the problem with Alyssa and her mouth is that it not only can you not understand her speaking sometimes if I was to be a lip reader, I would have a problem with her. She can't even
So
articulate
if
with her
Cameron's
lips.
deaf,
he
would not be able to read Alyssa's lips, and this is how he's basing the outcome of.
But performance quality, I would have voted her down if I was deaf and mute.
So Ashley, before we let you go, catch us up on you. Where can we find you? What are you up to? Update us with you and your life and what's happening with you.
Well, I've been in the hair and makeup chair for 5 hours today, so I'm over it. But no, it's good. I swear, though, it is such hard work. Like, there's no respect for that. But I'm working on a new project. We've been shooting all day, and we're going to continue to shoot all night. And I can tell you that it has to do with shiny things and ruffles and tulle.
That's exactly what we want to see from you, Ashley.
Yes.
Well,
All those things
good,
together. I love it.
I don't need
Sounds
to see that.
amazing.
I just need to know that when you come in, we're gonna go hiking, and I don't have to talk about TV anymore.
I know. I'm coming back June or something, or maybe like in 2 weeks. I'm not sure, but definitely June.
June or 2 weeks.
So
Well, definitely
so
June, but also maybe 2 weeks.
you may have to wait for a short period of time or a long period of time. Either way, you're gonna get her.
And what platforms are we still reaching you on?
And,
Thank you for
yeah,
calling
we'll
in. I know
talk
it's late
soon.
there.
Booster. Ashley, are you
Oh,
still
yeah,
in the
I'm
same
15.
spot? Twitter, Instagram. Where do we find you?
At Ashley _ Kelly, and that's no EY. It's just KELLY.
It's just scolding me.
So yeah, 2 underscores.
Yes, 2 underscores. You
She
better
has a Facebook page too. You can like it. I like it.
Yeah, but I don't know what you call it. Like,
Oh,
like
I
it's
just
my name.
Yeah, I just
like
looked
a
up
fan
Ashley
page.
Kelly, and it's a fan page.
fan
and
page.
You like it.
That's what it is.
Well, everybody always says like Facebook.com/, or and I'm just like, it's Ashley Kelly.
She's like, search it. It's Ashley Kelly. Get your life. Well, thank you, Ashley, so much for calling in. We hope you continue to watch and all that good stuff.
I love you guys. Keep talking because I just love to watch you guys.
And if you do a show, we'll try and do an AfterBuzz show for it.
Yes, and then have you come in the
Heck
studio.
yeah.
Here we go. All right,
Okay,
thanks,
y'all.
Ashley.
Take it easy.
Bye, Miss Baby
Okay,
Girl.
bye.
Bye. So going back to what I was about to start, which is kind of a good segue, the comedy queens versus the pageant queens. There was a big to-do with all that. Do you guys think there is a clear definition between the comedy queens and pageant queens, or do you think that it just depends on the type of queen that you are?
I think it depends on the person, because for Alyssa, using the example of Alyssa is very clearly a pageant queen. I mean, that's where her strength is, and that's what she relies on a lot, and like Cam says, she uses her resources that way. But I think that we've seen there have been queens in the past that have bordered those
Yeah.
lines.
It's a spectrum.
Yeah.
Do you think it's all about what they rely on? Like if you're a funny queen but you're not that pretty, then you're going to rely on the funny. If you're a pageant queen but you don't have anything else except that you're very poised and polished, then you rely on that, and that's what differentiates you between a comedy queen and a pageant queen.
I don't know about that, because I think some people too, like, to use Jade Jolie as an example, Jade Jolie is not a pretty person when you look at her face in normal every day. I just don't find
Some queens look better as girls.
Yeah, and she can beat her mug up, and it's like some people, you know, I don't think it has to do with attractiveness. I just think some people are really, really good at putting on makeup and putting on clothes, and some people are a little more quirky.
But I think what you're going for is I agree with where I think you were going with that, is you tend to fall into the category, you lean towards the category where you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It's something that you know. You go with what you know. You go with your strength.
Yeah.
If you're all about body and, you know, mugshot, then why
Then that's
wouldn't
what you'll
you?
be.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
if you ain't got comedy, don't try and be a comedian.
Okay. So the mini challenge was the crying game, which I thought was very random.
I also like this quote: "There's nothing more sad than the tears of a drag queen."
There's nothing more sad
Oh.
than the tears of a drag queen.
Which our show started off with. I'm sorry.
For some reason, I do kind of feel like, though, that this mini challenge was kind of a setup to have Detox open up
Kind of.
Yeah.
about her situation.
They poked that to death.
I like
Well,
that.
if we use here's the thing. Okay, so if we use what Ashley just said as an example, saying that she said that the producers are prodding you when you're
Yeah.
on a show like this, so it could very possibly, because it seems now that people are like randomly crying at random intervals where you're like, how are you just crying here and there, you know? And it seems like maybe what happened is it's like, you know, they set up this challenge and you have a producer being like, oh, you know, prodding Detox about her relationship.
Right. Because this is what I didn't understand is, were the stories that they were saying fake or real?
Oh, they're all fake except for Detox's, I'm pretty sure, right?
But it just seemed, I don't know, the challenge just seemed weird, because it's like, you know, if this was supposed to be like a emotional circle or whatever, you would think that, like, and it's a crying game, like, are you making each other cry just based on, like, what you can come up with? Or, like,
Yeah, I thought
like,
that was the premise. Like, you need to, it's the whole acting thing, to learn how to cry on the drop of a dime.
to cry on cue. I missed the premise of it.
Yeah.
Like, I
think
missed
that's
it.
what it was. And then they tried to produce the segment into Detox looking at all of this happening, and then she had like
And then she had
flashback.
a moment.
And they prodded that to death.
Yeah.
Which it was also a weird juxtaposition, because you have Alaska cracking up and Jinx is crying.
Well, first off,
and I'm like, what's going on?
I was right with Alaska, because I was laughing too
It was
at
so
Jinx.
funny.
Like, I couldn't.
It was funny.
And to see Alaska, she was just like, and she's like, Jinx is supposed to be making me cry, but I keep laughing at her. Like, yeah, I thought that was good. But I totally thought the whole mini challenge was a setup to get Detox to pull out, you know, this story about, you know, her boyfriend, which, you know, I know is a very tough subject for her. And it's one that, you know, she obviously hasn't talked about. I feel like if you are in Detox's inner circle, you know about it. But is it something that...
I feel like Detox is a very private person, and I feel like if this wasn't set up like this, I don't think Detox would have said anything.
Right.
Because I feel like, you know, Detox is there to...
She's there to win. She's
there
for the
to
competition.
perform, and she's clearly very polished and in her style of drag, and I just don't feel that she would have said anything had this not been the scenario.
She's grown a tough skin. She's in an industry where you're constantly getting ripped and berated, and you know, she's had work done. She's taking prods all the time, so I think that she knows how to hide behind the wall. And so this whole situation, you know, completely threw her out of her comfort zone. So.
And you know, also, okay, so Detox and Alyssa won. Alyssa is another person that I've, you know, she'll get ruffled, but I've never. She hasn't cried on the show, has she?
Yeah, her dad.
The whole
that
dad
was right.
situation. Yeah.
They prodded that one too.
Yeah. Sidebar, real quick, taking you back a few weeks ago when we were discussing if Detox had a last name. She does not, because I asked Detox. I was like,
then why does her thing say Detox?
It's a joke
Somebody
from
just
when
added it on.
when she first started drag. I think she used to do this particular song or whatever, and whenever Jackie Beat, who's a world-renowned drag queen, would announce her, she would announce her as Detox icon or whatever.
Okay.
So it was never her last name. It was more like a joke, but it's always just been Detox. I just wanted to point that out to let y'all know I was right. Boom. So,
but I didn't make it
Hashtag.
up.
you didn't make it up. It is on her Facebook, but that is not her last name. It is just Detox.
Just another way for Detox to get people to talk about her.
I guess so. And another way for people to talk about us is to download us on iTunes. You can visit our podcast on iTunes, listen to us, download us, and make sure you rate us 5 stars, leave comments, let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. You feel like throwing shade, then throw some. You feel like reading, read. Just be expected to be read back. But all of your comments and everything is greatly appreciated. Just make sure you give us 5 stars.
Just saying, the fact that somebody commented that, whether it's I or Tony, in having some kind of relations
Get your life on
or
that
not,
one.
hey, keep talking. I mean, the fact that you spend that much time talking about
Yeah,
it,
why
rock
don't I
on.
get to do any fun stuff in these
I
situations?
don't know, but like that
It's
was
like they're all having fun and I'm sitting in the corner
Crawl up
knitting.
out of my butt. I don't care.
I text Cam and I was like, did we do something? Because I don't know what they're reading on camera, but that must be something strong.
They put me in the middle for a reason, guys.
Get your life, Jackie. Okay, so Alyssa versus the Queens. There was a time in the show where I felt like the Queens were kind of
Coming for her.
coming for Alyssa. But it seemed like, now thinking about it, they were pointing out some stuff where I was like, oh, yep, that is right. And then when Jinx was finally like, well, girl, do you even have enough clothes for the competition? Because she seems to be borrowing other people's stuff. And she's like, oh, no, I brought enough clothes, but last this competition. But it's kind of like, if you have stuff, then why were you in Jinx's
Busting out of
stuff?
it.
Yeah.
But here's the conversely, there have been queens in the past who have admitted to borrowing other people's clothes.
Speaking
This
of, her
isn't a
daughter.
thing that doesn't, yeah.
Oh, okay, a wig here.
A corn
maybe
corsage. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that was made, but I mean, it just never seemed in the past so prevalent that she's borrowing stuff. From
I think they
somebody.
just pointed. I'm sure the queens are all doing it. I think they just
And I
pointed
think they
it out.
pointed out because it was a dress, because
And
it wasn't like it was
They
a
did give.
smaller item.
They gave Coco a lot of screen time in that little segment because Coco was I'm sorry.
Coco
Coco
reached the
lost
house
all
down in
respect
her
for me.
little, what you call it?
Coco, if Alyssa's gonna fall, she's gonna fall. You don't need to shove her down anymore.
Don't show Gola, Coco.
But see, some of that though, I wonder. You're watching it, and it's like that seems to be their relationship. Their relationship seems to be banter.
Yeah.
And segueing off of that Coco thing is, because we always attach Untucked, is when it was Alaska, Coco, and who was in the middle? Was it Jinx?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
they were
stapled
talking to
this
Jinx
wrong.
and talking about the whole. And when the other three walked in, Coco changed what her real question was.
Right.
So I'm sorry, that's shady. Because if you don't have the backbone of the balls to stand up and say what you really said,
Right.
that's a problem for me. Alaska was like, ooh, girl.
Exactly.
What is she talking about?
Right. Because you're right. That question totally did change. So from the mini challenge, as we already mentioned, Detox and Alyssa won. They went into the main challenge, which was telenovela soaps, which I absolutely thought was gonna be hilarious.
Here's the thing, though.
Well, you said that, though, was it not?
This goes back to our Latin queens thing.
Yeah.
It's it seems kind of sucky that
They didn't
we
make it
have
that far.
yeah, we have no Latin queens and we have people mocking them almost.
Well, Roxy
oh yeah, that's
is Latin,
Right. Roxy
so
is Latin.
Roxy represented the Boniquas. So that was one. So Team Detox was the combination of Rolastatox, the bringing back to life of Rolastatox, Detox, Alaska, Roxy, which Alaska did not seem happy about because she does not want to rely on a crutch, which I totally get. And then we had Alyssa, Jinx, and Coco. Oddly enough, the 3 people who have not been getting along with each other on a team.
Alyssa picked Jinx, which was another one of those moves where you pick the best actor in the room.
Which Coco has done as well.
Yeah, no, it's smart.
Birds of a feather.
Yeah, it's smart, but if you're gonna pick the best, learn from her. Clearly, while on set, Jinx was in it.
In it to win it.
And she was going through that team. Jinx was totally in it. Alyssa almost to the finish line, but not quite there. And Coco was somewhere in between. I think Coco could have had some brilliant moments with that character.
Coco was mesmerized by Wilmer
Well, yeah, she.
I also think that was part of it. I
mesmerized.
think that was kind of an excuse too, though. And I think, like, say if you were to interview her after this whole thing filmed and they did their little video shoot, she would have made an excuse, like, that's not my thing, but I tried my best.
But the thing about it is, it no is not your thing, but you got to do it. And in essence, as a drag queen, that is a persona. That's acting in itself. Because when you're in your drag, you're not the same as you are when you're out of drag. So technically, you are acting. That's like for me, sometimes when I host, there is one Tony and there's another Tony. It depends on where I'm at, will depend on what you get. That's
it's true, though. No, it's true, though.
Yeah.
It's
so
true.
it's acting either way. And on top of this is RuPaul's Drag Race Season 5. There are no surprises. There's going to be acting challenges. There's going to be a lip sync. There's going to be a snatch game. At this point, it's not a surprise that you're being put into these situations. If you are, and this is a hint for those of you who are auditioning for Season 6, if you are going into RuPaul's Drag Race, study.
Get a clue.
Look at past seasons. Look what they're expecting you to do. And if you can't do something, take an acting class. Go find one of your actor friends, do a monologue in front of them, have them critique you, do something, do whatever you need to do, that when you go into this competition, you're not one of these girls that's like, oh, I'm sorry, that's not me, or a drag queen is not supposed to do that, or I don't have to do this when you're on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh.
Get your life together.
I mean, if you want $100,000, you got to earn it.
You better do it. If they say dance, bitch, dance, then you better dance. Sorry. I know we're not supposed to swear.
She brought her knee pads.
But when it's RuPaul's Drag Race, it should be okay. Just saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Then Team Detox, Detox, Roxy, and Alaska. I thought this team actually worked really well together, and I think it's all because they get it, they understand, and they create these characters and they commit themselves to whatever character that they have.
Well, if you're creating a scene, it's a lot easier to do it with people that are your friends, because there's already a shorthand. Like, you are this character in this group, you play this character in this group. They have the benefit of a shorthand.
Maybe.
For working together.
But I feel like even if the teams were mixed, like, they still would have brought, I mean, case in point, Roxy, when she was Tasha Salad, like, she still brought it, even though those around her were not up to par. So I think it's what you bring to it.
Depending on the talent within, if they, like, say Roxy and Detox ended up with Coco and Coco was falling short, that could have been a great segue for them to use her as the scapegoat and blow it up. That's all right. It was cool.
Well, this team was good though. Alaska was great, especially with her facial expression.
Oh, she was great.
Detox, I thought, was funny. I thought for some reason I died laughing when she had to pour the poison in each one. They were like, no, you can just do one. We get it, but we just have to see it one. But she would do one and like, I don't know. That was hilarious.
But it was true because Alaska and Roxy were trying to keep the facial expressions going the whole
time. It was still like, oh, telenovela. You have to love it. And thanks, Wilmer, for joining in on the telenovela for your one line or two.
We saw most of your backside.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Me too.
I feel like he could have been
taller.
Well, just utilized a little bit more.
Just used more.
Just used more.
Roxy tried.
But thank God that they actually had a judge that could be related to this.
Yes, I think these were perfect judges.
These were perfect judges, and good job, Jamie-Lynn Sigler, for coming in to promote your new show, Guys with Kids. That was good. I didn't know the other girl, Maria. Her.
I'm Maria Conchita Alonso.
Yeah, she must be actress telenovela extraordinaire. So
she's done a lot of TV actually. When you are young, so that makes sense.
Well, I'm always young. Forever 21.
There's a song there somewhere.
Probably.
Forever young.
What else? I have other stuff. Jinx. Just looking at my notes. Jinx. Like I said, I thought she was hilarious, and I thought that if they had just joined her in the scene and that played it up as much as she did, it would have been better. And and Alyssa even got the note, like, match what Jinx is doing when it comes to the orgasm. And Jinx was like, have you ever had one?
I think part of Alyssa's problem too, though, is she is very pretty when she dresses up, and I think she's trying to maintain a level of composure and beauty that Jinx just doesn't care about.
But you have to, in acting, you have to let
I'm not
yourself
defending
go.
her. I'm just saying that.
I'm just saying that you have to be free to maybe be a little ugly.
Yeah.
Or be the ugly pretty. I mean, you learned that on America's Next Top Model, to be the ugly pretty.
But I mean, you think about it. It's just like when she walks, even when she's not prancing down the runway. I mean, even like her feet pointing where she's going, she is poised with her body. So sometimes people have a hard time letting control go.
Well, she should have let it go, and maybe she would have stayed. So for the main challenge, for the runway presentation,
I loved Rue's look.
Oh my god,
Loved.
I liked it.
Yeah. Oh, you finally liked it from head to toe.
We all like it.
No wig changes.
I'm okay with the hair.
No hair
Loved
changes.
it.
Cam?
Wasn't dying over it, but the dress was sickening.
I loved it, and I love that they came down with their Latina glamorosa
Yes.
extravaganza looks. I wasn't too thrilled about detoxes though.
Yeah.
I actually love detoxes because I feel that, you know, most of them went more like women, like not. I mean, I guess Coco did a pantsuit, but most of them did dresses, and I love that she had like a pantsuit separates, and I love that I think that is telenovela. It's the extreme, like she has the what are those?
Mariachi.
Yeah, like mariachi pants.
No, that's basically what it was. She intended to get
Yeah,
it, but
I
she
felt
failed
it could've
because
been
she should have
more.
had some ruffles. She should have decked it out a little bit more. I think
Yeah.
she could have pushed it a little bit further. I knew where she was going with it, but she just didn't nail it.
Yeah, if she had pushed it more, I think it would have been better. Roxy's look, I absolutely
she's stunning.
love.
She is
I was like,
stunning.
you better bring your
Get it,
little
girl.
Latina
She
out.
is stunning.
Black hair, everything. Black hair don't care.
And her little,
La
I
chola.
love the drawn on little curls.
The little
Yeah.
baby hairs.
Yes.
I wonder how I would look with that.
You
I
come
got
on
this.
next
Comment.
episode.
Let us
Baby
know.
doll
You come in
hairs.
next episode and we'll draw it right here.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go get some hairs from down the street from the wig store. Give me some baby hairs right here. A little beauty mark right there. Y'all are going to live and get your life together. Alaska actually looked good. I just wish she
It was a nice silhouette for her.
I wish she would learn how to walk.
Yes, she can't walk.
She has the kookiest walk ever. It's almost like, well, you guys may be old enough. Do you remember Fat Albert and how they used to walk? And it was that kind of walk. Whenever you saw them like walking by, it was always that.
She's like one of those mud cranes.
I feel like she would have fit in with that. Alyssa's look, I was not too thrilled about.
This was beautiful.
Yes.
This was beautiful.
But this
is what we're judging.
this is what I felt like Alyssa's outfit. I felt like it was something that I had seen before that she worn, and she just added
Hodgepodged it.
the red.
I do feel like she
thing on
added
it.
the red thing on it.
Yeah, like I feel like she was like, "Oh, girl, I'm gonna wear this, and then I'm gonna add that, and then."
Deuces.
Girl, no, it was more like deuces. Like she like dug deep for that.
Well, you
But-
gotta wonder. I mean, I think maybe she didn't realize that some of her stuff wasn't gonna fit because she obviously didn't realize that she did not belong in Jinx's outfit. You know, maybe she brought stuff. Maybe she did bring a lot of stuff. It just didn't fit.
Maybe the stress is.
But I do feel like we had seen that dress before, and
Yeah.
she just
And she just added the
an
red
extra
to it.
thing
Okay,
it.
so I'm not the only one with that. I thought Coco's look was really good. Like I thought that the
Yes.
color looked good. I thought the added drama of like the sleeves and stuff, and the short hair and the colorfulness.
She did serve you Dorothy Dandridge for sure.
Latin Dorothy Dandridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I liked the color definitely. I didn't hate the sleeve. You know that whole.
Yeah.
I probably could have done without it, but it had great effect for her lip syncing. So rock on.
But I think that when we were talking about detox and how if she had pushed it, it would have came out better. I think if Coco had came out and didn't have the sleeve, the dramatic sleeve, I think we would have looked at it like, but if she had just added something and really pushed it, and I think that was her push, was the extra sleeve and fabric and stuff that made it all flowy and dramatic and all that. That's what we look for in a drag queen.
Could be, but
to
for
be
me, the
dramatic.
color alone was so stunning on her skin.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been for me. Would have been for because just her mug alone was strong enough for me. But like I said, the sleeves totally helped turn her lip sync.
Yeah.
So.
I do like that Jinx took a risk and
it
did
paid
that.
off.
It really paid off for her. That's the thing I like about Jinx is Jinx is like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and I'm going to do it well. And I think that as a drag performer, or as any drag performer, you need to continually push yourself. And I think, as you said earlier, a lot of queens get very complacent in what they do and very comfortable. And I think once you do that, you may need to stop doing it, because that means you're not feeling inspired enough to push yourself to continue to be better. So I think that, did you hear that pop, Marissa? What are you doing? Is that a signal?
My bad.
Oh, okay. Because we all stopped like. But I think as a performer, that's what you need to do, is push yourself, and that's what Jinx did. Jinx said that I'm going to do this. I'm going to push myself. I'm going to take a risk, and it paid off for her.
I will say, because Jackie and I and Kenny email all the time, and I shit talk everybody. So, sorry, excuse me. I'm
not the one cursing.
No,
for
yeah.
once.
Do I want Jinx to win? No, but I do give Jinx. She is an amazing talent, and we talked about it before, like with Chad last season and Raja. My thing is, what are they going to do with the platform when they win? I think Jinx has the most potential to do something, just like with this Dia de los Muertos, the skeleton outfit. I mean, it's going to bring attention to it, so people who didn't know what it was might look it up. I mean, I think she looked amazing. Was it beautiful? No, but it was stunning, and it brought attention to her without looking ugly and crazy. She didn't look crazy. It actually looked interesting. It was very interesting, so it draws attention. I think she definitely has the ability to take a platform and run with it for our community. So.
And she's very knowledgeable. I think that like all of these things that she's bringing in, she's like almost teaching people about new things that they didn't know before.
So Jinx ended up winning the challenge, and then we had Coco and Alyssa in the bottom two, which I felt like this is what they have been building everything up to, was this lip sync battle between Alyssa and Coco, and who was going to take the crown this time.
It was like that moment last season.
Was it
with was it Yaro Sofia and that special button that you could jump in?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
The save a whole button.
The save a whole button.
The save a whole button.
That's what I felt.
Yes.
I thought this lip sync was so intense, and I do think what helps Coco is that she knows her words.
Yeah.
And I think that she can still be a great performer and know her words, and I think that's where Alyssa kind of lacks, is that sometimes, and even in the camera shot, you could tell that Alyssa had forgot some of the lyrics. But I thought this was an amazing lip sync. I do think the split was to me, whenever a girl does a split, it's a please turn your attention back to me.
You're reaching.
But it was like
there's talent, but
it was one of the best,
talent.
if not the best split I've ever seen.
Well, yeah.
It was like full on jump, fall, crotch bang split.
Yeah, it was.
There's also pressure. I mean, as a dancer, like if you didn't nail that split, that could have went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
But we
could have popped out.
know she proved she is a good dancer.
Yeah. So in the end,
I would like to say also though, so this is on, when you watch it on logo.com, that's closed captioning. At the end of the lip sync, it says applause and maracas rattling for the closed caption. I was like, what?
So in the end, Coco became victorious and won the lip sync and got to Shantae Stay, while Miss Alyssa Edwards, Shantae sashay away. Ooh, almost got that wrong. Do we feel like it was time for Alyssa to go?
One of them. I didn't care which one, honestly.
I just think that for whenever someone, to me, it felt like she gave up. You know,
Alyssa did?
Yeah, it felt like she gave up this episode. And I feel like whenever someone has given up, then they should go home, because it's like,
I don't think she gave up. I just think that she relied heavily on the lip sync. She just felt like, I think if she bombed a challenge, she'll lip sync and she'll be right back in it.
I think she was heavily stifled. Roxy went through it. Alaska clearly went through it, like the first episode in the water tank, right? I think this was her stifled. Like she didn't know, she was stuck. And she didn't know how to pull herself out of the hole. It's
just a shame, because it's like she got stuck at a point where she had been stuck like two episodes previous, you know, and she had been doing, up until this point, she had been just pushing and pushing and pushing. Yeah. And I feel like she got stuck at a point where like she had to go home, you know?
Well, so sad.
But you could say, I mean, if she was lip syncing against any of the other queens, she probably would have won.
Yeah.
All right, so real quick, let's go into some news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Only news and gossip that I have is that for all of you aspiring lady boys, it's not too late to get your auditions in, your audition videos for RuPaul's Drag Race Season 6. You have until April 9th to get those videos in. So a lot of queens have been sending in videos. So make sure if you're one of those queens, you get your video in now. Visit rdrcasting.com and get your video in. You have until April 9th. Get your life.
Don't you have news for yourself?
Me?
Yeah. You won.
Oh,
yeah.
Lounging with Tony is now an award-winning web show. I won two awards over the weekend at the LA Web Fest. Outstanding achievement in producing and hosting.
So if you haven't already, check it out.
Check out loungingwithtony.com. All right, predictions.
Bottom 2.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
All right, so there are only 5 left. The weeks are dwindling down before we find out who is America's Next Drag Superstar. Who do you think will be in the bottom 2 next week?
Coco.
Coco. I do.
Do you? For some reason I feel like it might be Coco and I don't know.
Do you still feel that Jinx is gonna trip up?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say Jinx has been doing well, but I think she's nearing that time where she may be running out. So I'm gonna say Coco and Jinx for next week.
You know what? I'm gonna back you. Here's the thing. I'm gonna back you up on it because I feel like the storyline up until this point has been, and it was funny because who called the lip sync between Alyssa and Coco? Was that you? Yeah. I feel that the storyline up until this point, especially when you look at the untucked footage where they're all like being like, basically being like, oh, Jinx, you're a superstar and we're gonna come for you, blah blah blah. I feel like this is I feel like this is setting it up for Jinx to have a misstep.
Yeah. Cameron?
Yeah. I want Coco and Jinx. That's what I want. Is that gonna happen? I don't know.
And then who do you think will go home real quick?
Coco.
Coco? I think so too.
I think we're gonna have a couple of shocking episodes coming up.
Yeah. I think so too. All right, before we head out, guys, where can we find you?
At Tamakava777.
At 123 Jackie_B.
And you can find me, Lounging with Tony, on all platforms. Thank you guys for tuning in to another after show right here at AfterBuzz TV for RuPaul's Drag Race Season 5, Episode 9. We will see you next week at the same drag channel, same drag time, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Bye.
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 From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.